it is more about the landscape, which is more challenging, and we have to embrace this challenge. Our generation need to face this challenge and also need to turn the page, which is not very friendly. So the topic today we are going to cover in our panel discussion is Beyond Worlds, Redefining Learning Space for 21st Century Education. If we are talking about this education, it is moving far away from the traditional pattern. We are embracing the digitalization, and it has become an integral part in everyday's life. Very rightly it has been said that this COVID has taught us a lot, and we as school principals and educators, we must appreciate that we were not so much computer friendly or digital friendly before this. Right? And that is the pace you create for students in the learning areas. So my next question would be to Mr. Rajiv Pandey ji, that being innovative, being digital, how can schools effectively integrate quality assurance measures to ensure that the redefined learning space meet the high standards in terms of accessibility, inclusivity, and the delivery of this dynamic education?
Good evening all. Very right question, ma'am. I hope I'm audible. The question which you just asked is more or less the point which was raised by the Honorable Secretary Education Government of India in the morning. He said that why don't all schools in India, especially CBSE schools, go with a minimum benchmark? We should set a minimum benchmark for all the schools, and that very benchmark should be taken up by all the schools, and we have to go up to that level. So for this, CBSE has introduced SQA, School Quality Assessment and Assurance Framework, where all schools are now allowed to assess themselves first. They have to assess, then they have to evaluate where they are standing right now. And on the basis of that, they can set their own benchmark from this level. We need to go to the next level, and they can adopt for different things. There are 7 different modules in that. Under those 7 modules, there are much more modules which has to be taken up into consideration. And what I feel is that implementing accessible infrastructure is the very first important thing. The speaker before to us talked about the infrastructure a lot, so I need not to speak on that. But yes, as per the norms, we need to upgrade the infrastructure. Then we can go for the regular assessment of the students. And of course, the very important need of the hour for today's schooling is teachers training. So working on all these aspects, we can have a great system of evaluating the school on quality and assess the students on that. This is what I feel.
Thank you so much. Yes, very rightly said, Pandeyji, that as we keep on experimenting, this kind of setting parameters is very important with the quality aspect. When we talk about education, earlier we used to talk about quantity, but today we talk about more about quality, which anyway speaks about. So whenever we are
on this, but I would like to quote one very important thing over here. We talk about technology since morning. We are discussing about technology, but we have forgotten COVID. The COVID has taught technology to each and every school in India. Gone were the days when we used to have one Dronachar and many gloves. The scenario is totally changed now. We have one glove and many Dronachar, and this is just because of technology. Now a student, if he is in class, is not able to get what the teacher is talking about. He will go back home, open up his computer or laptop or even his mobile, and he can get n number of people discussing on the same topic. So we need to work on this. The teachers, the educators now have to take up technology, and without technology you cannot run the schools or even the classes. So we have to come up with the technology, use of the technology, and our previous speaker just talked about that. The presentation he prepared, he has taken from the chat GPT. So this is the level where the technology is in our system now. we can also solve out one more very important problem. Again, I will quote the Secretary sir from the Government of India Education Department. He talked about assessment, that there is a child who got 96% again, and then the mother was planning for the 100% or something like that. Assessment, if we go with the online kind of assessment, now you can see the variation. The questions can vary from, there is a very question paper and many other things. Adding to that, we can have blended learning approach. And the teachers training again can be both in the blended mode, online and offline, that can help out the number of teachers, and the teachers can use or start using technology. So this is
Thank you, Rajiv ji. Yes, very rightly said that technology is the connecting point between the student and the teacher today. Earlier, when the patient used to visit the doctor used to press this area, the nerve, and the nurse, जिसको हम बोलते हैं, and used to speak about whatever the difficulties the patient used to have. Today, that nurse